the South. So let's give it up real quickly to all the team members, all the sponsors, mentors, Trinity faculty, and anyone who participated and helped out in this event in any way. So please give a huge round of applause to them. So we're going to get some things started. First of all, this could be an awesome event, 24 hours of computer programming. We're really excited to have all you beginners who have never written a line of code before, and we're excited for all the students who've been to SoHacks. So if you've been to a prior SoHacks, please raise your hand and look around because those people are experts and they can help you out. So yeah, definitely. We got a couple of you guys this year. So who all is beginners? Awesome. This is so exciting, and we're so proud that you're taking your first steps. And to kind of conclude how proud San Antonio is, I think there's no one better to state it than our San Antonio Mayor, Mayor Ron Nierenberg.
Hi, I'm Mayor Ron Nierenberg. Welcome, coders, to the 5th Schools Out Hackathon here at Trinity University. You're about to embark on a very unique opportunity. This event would not be possible without the SoHacks team for all their hard work. So I want to thank all the mentors and volunteers who came out today to make this event a success. I also want to thank all the generous sponsors who made this event possible. And lastly, thank you to Trinity University for being the venue host. I'm so excited to see so many students engaging with STEM in San Antonio. As we're celebrating our tricentennial year, it's apparent to me that I'm looking at the future of our city. There are no limits to what you all can do. Your creative talents are what our city needs. So look around you and meet someone new and engage with the mentors and volunteers. Take advantage of the next 36 hours and go build something new, the next great innovation.
Let's give it up for our mayor. So we're really appreciative for everything they do, and as well as the chambers in San Antonio and Bexar County Economic Development for helping sponsor this event as well. So let's give a little bit of an overview of what we're going to be talking about today. So obviously talking about what SoHacks is and kind of how the event is and the rules, our sponsor announcements. So we have some pretty awesome sponsors. Hopefully you met them at check-in. Emergency situations. Obviously we want this to be as safe as possible, but just in case anything comes up, we have Trinity Police to give some words. And then the workshops, so you guys all got tracks, and we'll confirm. We heard about some little issues, we'll clarify all that. All the awards you guys can win. So maybe you're sitting there and you're like, I'm a first-time coder, this is gonna be hard. It's definitely not gonna be hard for you. We're excited that you took the opportunity to come out here, and so we have awards from the best beginner hack to the best intermediate to best advanced, or if you're like a graphic designer, you're an educational guru, there's an opportunity for you to win. And lastly, we have raffles going out the whole time. We'll talk a little bit more about that. How to connect to the Wi-Fi, because obviously can't get anything done without that. And contact info, so that no matter where you are in the CSI beautiful space, thank you Trinity University again for letting us host our event here. You'll be able to reach out and know about when meals are happening, when special opportunities and guests may arrive. So let's get things started. I first want to recognize one of our obvious partners. We're here at Trinity University in the beautiful steering theater. So please help me welcome Dr. Luis Martinez, who's the Director for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. He received a Bachelor's of Science degree with honors in chemistry from Trinity University and a Master of Arts and PhD in chemistry from Harvard University. He served on the faculty of Rollins College, Eastern Florida State College, and the University of Texas at El Paso until 4 years ago when he returned to his alma mater. In his role as director, he teaches courses in entrepreneurship, innovation, and chemistry. He mentors student startups and facilitates connecting Trinity students and faculty with entrepreneurs and accredited investors. He is responsible for all aspects of Trinity's entrepreneurship program, Trinity's technology and licensing efforts, and helps to make sure that every student, faculty, staff, and alumni become more innovative and entrepreneurial. So please help me give a big SoHacks welcome to Dr. Luis Martinez.
Thank you so much, Julie, for that kind introduction. Is everyone ready to SoHacks? When I say, is everyone ready, I want to say, yes, we are. All right? Okay. Is everyone ready? That's awesome. My name is Luis Martinez. I'm the Director for Innovation and Entrepreneurship here at Trinity. Welcome to Trinity University. We are so thrilled to be welcoming back on our campus SoHacks5. It is so exciting to have you all here on our campus. Trinity University is a selective liberal arts and sciences university that really is transformative. So we're committed to undergraduate education. We're highly selective. We're a small university of approximately 2,500 students. And in addition to our great STEM departments of physics and chemistry and biology, psychology, we also have departments of mathematics, geosciences, computer sciences, and engineering sciences as well. But what's exciting about being at Trinity is not only being able to study computer science, but you can study anything here. We believe really strongly in coupling a strong tradition of the liberal arts and humanities with what we do in STEM and sciences. We're so thrilled to host you all in our building, the Center for Sciences and Innovation. Please feel free to make that your home over the next 24 hours. This is the center of where STEM is based here on our campus. It's also the home for the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, where we couple your excitement about STEM and your excitement about bringing value and change into the world, whether you have a major in whatever major it is that you have, and couple entrepreneurship to it. We launch real companies by undergraduate students as early as their freshman year here at Trinity. And we're thrilled to have you come and participate as part of our campus. So are you ready for SoHacks? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Luis Martinez, for those welcoming words. Again, we are so thrilled to be on this campus. So next, I want to recognize one of our huge sponsors for the event, and it's the new San Antonio Museum of Science and Technology at Port San Antonio. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but it recently launched, and there has been someone, and many people actually helping out at this event, who are putting countless volunteer hours into this museum so that you can understand how San Antonio is that secret city of tech that nobody knows about. And it's remarkable. So to kind of give a little better of a welcome of the museum, hopefully you enjoy this video. Awesome. So that's the new SAMSAT Museum. Give a round of applause for Port San Antonio. So now I want to introduce you to the man behind it all. Our keynote speaker has 40 years of experience in San Antonio with commercial and government electronics. In college, he interned at Computer Terminal Corporation, which became DataPoint Corporation. He's held multiple positions, including Vice President of Research and Development. He has contributed to the evolution of the personal computer, the microprocessor technology, pioneered desktop video teleconferencing, image sensors, government tactical imaging systems and communications, and cell phone image transmission. He has over 50 patents issued in his name. He was appointed President of the Board of Governors of St. Peter, St. Joseph's Children's Home, and is passionate about helping San Antonio's children. Please help me to welcome the founder and president of the Tassilis Group and eWash Corporation of Texas, and the founder of the new San Antonio Museum of Science and Technology at Port San Antonio, Mr. David Monroe.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here today. I really am looking forward to seeing what you all are doing this afternoon. See, did you all know that SoHacks has a time machine? We're going to go back and look at some technology in San Antonio over the last 45 years since I've been here. San Antonio has done some amazing work in all disciplines, in biomedical, aviation, oil and gas, and so forth. But I'm going to just concentrate on something I can talk about best today, which is my own personal experience since I came here to San Antonio. Okay. So, in order to understand this, you've got to get in the right frame of mind. You have to take yourself back to 1968, and I know that none of you know what that means. Whoops. Just go ahead here. Where am I? Here. So I have a scrapbook of photos starting in 1968. So to set the stage, here's kind of what it felt like in San Antonio. We had hippies. We had gray hair, big hair. We had the Hemisphere 68. That was a big deal. And monorail. Our engineers had personal calculators that we carried with us. They were mechanical and slide rules. And we all had pocket protectors that we all like to wear. San Antonio was helping get ready for landing the man on the moon. In 1968, there were astronauts running around getting training and visiting Brooks and so forth. We also had great computers. They looked like this. They had core memory, magnetic memory. Notice the geek back there. He's wearing his tuxedo to work that day. So that's a mainframe computer. Memory, the state-of-the-art memory in 1968 was called core memory. It had little magnetic donuts the size of a bead, and there were 4 wires hand-threaded through those donuts. And they were, you magnetize them north-south or south-north for a 1 or a 0. And those things cost originally about $1 a bit to make, and then 10 cents a bit to make the memory. So, I did a little calculations last night. So if you had your iPhone 8 with 256 gigabytes of RAM, and you calculate all that out at 10 cents a bit, it would cost $219 billion to have that much memory with core memory. So then I did a little more calculation. If we had 10 iPhones, we could sell them and pay off the national debt. So also in 1968, you guys would die because there were no cell phones, there was no GPS, there were no RAM memory chips, there were no processor chips, there were no electronic calculators, there were no personal computers, no floppy disks, no CD drives, none of that. That was all still to come. So we were off building computers without all of that core technology. So my personal history, I grew up in Wichita, Kansas. We didn't have maker spaces either, so I had to build one. So I built one in my basement. So this is me in my basement. You see a TV set there in a lab. And there's a thing on the lab bench and a science fair project I built. So I had lots of fun in my own maker space in Wichita. And then I got an offer to intern here in San Antonio at Computer Terminal Corporation, which was a startup in 1968. My mother had to check it out. How many of you had your mothers check out where you were going to go do projects or go to classes or whatever? So we flew down here and checked it out, and then I started working at Computer Terminal. Now, what's Computer Terminal? Again, continuing on where we were in 1968, computers were mainframes. And the big state-of-the-art was to be able to dial into a mainframe over a telephone line from a thing called a teletype, and then you could do your input-output remotely. So a lot of high schools around San Antonio had these teletype machines, and they were dialed into mainframes. We didn't have that where I went to school. So Computer Terminal Corporation replaced that teletype machine with basically a TV set and a keyboard. And it was revolutionary because you couldn't put 80 characters on a TV set. They had to invent a new way to scan a television tube to get 80 characters on it. The other thing is, you remember we talked about memory? Well, you have to have memory to refresh that screen. So it would have been $80,000 worth of memory to build this terminal. Way too expensive. So there was a little startup in 1968 that made memory chips, 512-bit memory chips, that made this possible. And that startup was called Intel Corporation. So we know them now for processors, but they didn't make processors back then. And Computer Terminal became their biggest customer. The circuit boards in these things were all laid out by hand. And we stuck down little pieces of mylar with dots on it and used black masking tape, basically, to make the traces for the wires to make the masks. Now we have CAD. So this terminal was being bought by a lot of different companies, so they had to rewire it for each customer, which meant they had to redo all those manual boards. So a couple of engineers got the idea that they ought to throw a processor inside. Now, there were no microprocessor chips, so when they said we're putting a processor inside, they had to design it with a bunch of parts. Okay, so this is what they envisioned for the new computer. Notice it has switches as well as keys on it. So they built a machine that has a processor built inside. This is 1970 now. This is a personal computer, if you will. It has 4,096 bytes of main memory, not 4,000 megabytes or 4 gigabytes. It's 4,096 bytes. And that was absolutely revolutionary for 1970. That's what the machine looked like. When it's open, you can see the memory board sticking up in the air. Oops. Okay, there's the 1,000th machine they shipped. This is the drawing, all hand done on how to put it together. These are the two inventors that came up with the instruction set for that processor and made it fit in there. And the processor board looked like this. So it had over 100 ICs on it just to process. And it was really slow. So after they got it into production, they wanted to put more memory in it. And the way they thought they could put more memory in it was to get that processor on a chip so they could use the board space for more memory parts. So they worked with Texas Instruments and then Intel. This is the first confidential spec sheet from Texas Instruments to get that processor put on a chip, which would be the first 8-bit microprocessor in the world. So Texas Instruments delivered this first. It has 3,078 transistors in it, and it runs that data point processor exactly. So you're looking at the first operational chip. And I had the good fortune of being the guy that got to test this chip. And here's my workbench where we had it set up. There's the breadboard that we had it hooked up on. The processor is down in the foreground there. Now, the first commercial processor was not made by Texas Instruments. It was made by Intel for Computer Terminal Corporation. And here's the purchase order. I can prove it. So there's a $3 million purchase order from Computer Terminal Corporation to Intel. And it gives a terms and conditions to get Intel to make the first processor. They didn't want to make the processor. When they were approached by DataPoint, Intel said, we're a memory company. And we don't want to make processors. Each one of our customers has their own processor that they make. So if we make a microprocessor, we would be competing with our own customers. But the president of Computer Terminal talked to the president of Intel, Bob Noyce, and said, hey, if you don't do that processor for us, we're going to get TI to do it. We're going to stop buying memory chips. So Intel said, okay, we're going to do it. And that's how Intel got into the processor business. So the chip that they built looked like this. It had 3,098 transistors. Now think about that. So this is the first microcomputer. We were running spreadsheets and editors, text editors, and COM emulators, and video games. I shouldn't say video games, but games on this little processor with 3,098 transistors. My iPhone has 3 billion transistors on it. This has 1 million times more transistors and processing power than that first microprocessor. That's what the chip looked like. So the next chip Intel came out with was based on an improvement that DataPoint did to the processor, and that was also one of my projects. This is my desk back in those days, and that's a diagram of the next processor chip on the wall, and that's the breadboard. So those of you who know me, if you want to know why I'm a little crazy, this is why. I spent 20 years dealing with this stuff, these breadboards. So that's the 8080 chip. The 8080 became the first really popular microprocessor chip that was used by hobbyists and in the personal computer, what then started to become called the personal computer market. Now it turns out DataPoint didn't use that chip because they kept ahead of the game. They kept designing faster and faster discrete processors, and these weren't fast enough to run the software. But I was working on using the processor chip to build a laptop computer. So this was done in our skunkworks The concept was 1972. The prototype was built in 1975. It looks like this. So it's kind of silly looking, isn't it? The big problem wasn't the processor or the memory then. It was the display. There were no character displays available to build a laptop. So it took another almost 10 years for the display technology to catch up with the processors. So we also did color business graphics systems. We did, local area networks. We all use Ethernet on an hourly basis, right? So DataPoint pioneered local area networking too, with a network called ArcNet. It's interesting. The name that DataPoint picked for their local area network is in this announcement. It's dated what? 1977, and this is an announcement on the Internet press release. So the original local area network that DataPoint made was going to be called Internet. And one of the vice presidents didn't like the name Internet, and he threw a temper tantrum. So the marketing department changed the name from Internet to ArcNet. So if that hadn't happened, think about it. The whole world now would not be using the Internet. They'd be using something else, because DataPoint would have grabbed up the name and trademarked it. But it was a very powerful local area network. There were something like 11 million nodes installed before the PC ever existed. It was very, very successful. These are client servers that ran on the DataPoint network. And we even did a wireless LAN in 1978, which was very early. That's where we bought the tower, breadboarded and R&D. This is the site survey document that was done for the wireless LAN. We had to get an experimental license to even do this research because it was on FCC bands that were reserved for video. There were no bands for computer data. Once we got this thing working, we had a 2.5 megabit wireless LAN, and we wanted to build access points and sell them. So we petitioned the FCC for the 13 gigahertz band that was unused for this. And guess what the FCC said? They said, no, the public wants more television channels. They don't want computers on wireless. That's a stupid idea. We're not giving you the spectrum. So wireless LAN got killed by the government for many years until they finally saw the light. Speaking of seeing the light, because we couldn't use RF, we wanted to build wide area networks, so we built it using light. We built this thing. It's called a light link. So this did the same thing as an access point, but instead of using RF, we were using infrared. The first ones we built used lasers, but the government came out with laser safety regulations, which they've since overturned, that made it impossible to use a laser through free space. So we had to go to a regular infrared diode. So all these challenges you guys will have as you do your development in the future, you just got to overcome them one way or another. And sometimes they're technical, sometimes they're governmental, but you overcome them. Okay, we went on to build a laser printer. This was like the first networked laser printer in the world. And this was the breadboard unit, what it looked like. That's what the production unit looked like. All this is in San Antonio, guys. So think about every time you log onto your computer, look at your server, print on the laser printer, realize that was all pioneered in San Antonio. Some aspect of those technologies was done in San Antonio. This is the first video voice data unit. You see the AT&T trucks drive around video voice and data. So in 1979, we prototyped this. It had a TV camera built in. You could watch TV on it. You could send video over the network, have in-way video teleconferencing, listen to the radio, and do your computer stuff to boot. And that went into production. This is a robotic teleconferencing unit, which didn't go into production. We built it in R&D. But there are companies that are making these things today. So they drive from conference room to conference room, representing you as a video conferencing unit. In 1983, again, you've got to put yourself back in the day, because today these technologies are so prolific and we're so used to them we don't think about it. But in 1983, there was no internet, there was no digital camera, there was no JPEG compression. But we wanted to build a box that we could take a picture and send it over a dial-up telephone line, which was the only wide area network around, in less than 6 seconds. So I got to build this thing on my kitchen table. This is a kitchen table story. So that was a prototype. We raised $1 million based on this thing, and it transmitted pictures, but it wasn't 6 seconds. It was like 6 minutes, but it did transmit a picture. So then we got our money, and we built in a unit that looked like this. We thought we were going to use it and sell it for conference room use, but as you'll find out as you pursue your career, when you invent these things, you think people are going to use them one way, but when they get them in their hands, they figure out other better ways to use it. And that's what happened here. The government of Canada had a better idea. They had clinics in northern Canada with x-ray machines. When you broke your arm or leg skiing, you go to the clinic, they take the x-ray, and then they had to get the x-ray down to the hospitals in southern Canada, which is where all the radiologists were. So the only way they could do that in the winter was using dog sleds. So they were literally putting these x-rays on a dog sled, sending it to the hospital so the doctor could read it and they'd tell them what to do. So they bought a bunch of these, and teleradiology was born, San Antonio, Texas. Airborne tactical imagery. Word got out to the government about these photophone things that were sending x-rays and conference room photos around. So they said, hey, we need to do that in a secure manner. You guys are all hackers, so you know what it means to be insecure. The government wanted these things NSA secure. So we repackaged our unit and redid the software, put it in a black box that was airworthy, and they started flying them on special ops missions. First time they sent encrypted messages over NSA voice encryption over airborne platforms. These things went on to become mainstream in the government. Manufactured in San Antonio, they were on the F-14 Tomcat. Every F-14 Tomcat in the world carried one of these devices. It looked like that. You can see the imagery up on the screen that was being captured and processed and transmitted by that box. It went on all kinds of other aircrafts, Apache helicopters, Sikorsky helicopters, it went on submarines, it just went everywhere. The base station for that looked like this, and this is before laptop computers could deal with video. So we had to build our own laptop computer. It has 2 screens. That's kind of weird, isn't it? The screen on the left is for text, so you can do your text messages. The screen on the right is for video, because there was no display technology that could do both. But this was a very popular device. We cranked those out by the hundreds and hundreds for DoD, FBI, White House Communications Agency, Secret Service, DEA, all had these things. In fact, the movie Clear and Present Danger borrowed one of these and featured it in the movie because they found out that the Army was using it in South America during in a period of that movie. Okay, the internet. This is the real internet, not the one that DataPoint tried to name. This is the real internet. So I got access to it for the first time in, 1991. And I had to sign my life away. You notice that down at the bottom it says that I can't use it for personal use. It was only for government and educational use. So I did, and it was 4 more years before the internet was opened up and they started allowing commercial use of the internet. We built a soldier's computer that was battlefield qualified, if you will. Then we added a night vision system too. We built an optics lab and started researching it. We ended up building the hottest night vision system on the planet that was handheld. And the Army bought that. They bought a bunch of them and deployed those things all over the world. So another San Antonio breakthrough here. There's an Army using it in a picture of night vision. That all got us interested in making things smaller and smaller and smaller, because as people were carrying them, carrying a big box wasn't practical. So we always tried to make these things smaller. And it was a hard project. This was the breadboard for the first cellular telephone. We worked on several different iterations of that thing before we finally got it down to be a handheld sized device. And that's the first production unit of the camera cell phone. It has a little gas gauge on the side. As you took pictures, it filled up the memory, and a little light bar graph went up with it until the memory was full. And then you knew you had to send it over the cell phone. We also built streaming IP cameras, patented those. All the current IP cameras that you may be securing your home with or your business all use these patents and technology in them. And another interesting story is in the mid-1990s, we wrote a series of patents based on those military boxes and applying image capture technology to commercial. So we patented putting cameras on the airplanes and then hooking them into networks so it was integrated with airports. So it would record the video. If you got off course, it would start streaming video to the ground. If there was a terrorist on board, you could push a panic button and it would start recording and transmit it to the ground, and many other features. So I got all these patents, and then I learned that sometimes patents can make you famous for at least a day. So, the really tragic event of 9/11 happened, and airlines were involved, and the patents went back many, many years before 9/11. So all of a sudden, everybody woke up and they started researching for solutions for this problem. New York Times found our patents, so did the FAA and TSA and so forth. So we ended up doing a lot of work on this problem, up to and including actually outfitting a government owned, FAA-owned 727 airframe. And we put all this gear on the airframe and flew it at the FAA Test Center in Atlantic City. So that was pretty exciting. I mean, they turned over the 727 to us for a week and said, go play with it. So Drew, eat your heart out. I had a bigger drone than you did. So this was the console on the ground. It showed all the cameras. You could see the video streaming in. And it was very effective. They presented it to Congress. Congress said it's too expensive. So it hasn't happened yet today. So it's very viable technology. Okay, so that's kind of 45 years of my history. That's not everything. Those are some of the highlights. But all of these things were done in San Antonio. They were all done with absolutely brilliant, wonderful people, just like you guys are. So what's next? You are going to tell us what's next. You're the ones that are going to do the innovation, getting us forward for the next 45 years. And what we're off doing is trying to tell the story to other children and young adults and people in San Antonio about how great tech is, how much fun it is, and how important it is. So thanks for all you're doing. Thanks for your interest in tech. And thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Monroe. On behalf of the Schools on Hackathon, we want to give you the certificate of appreciation.
Oh, yeah.
So to conclude, again, that was an awesome talk, and now you guys got a little bit of background all about SAMSAT and what there is to offer. Oops. I don't know what just happened. So now we're going to go into welcoming the Trinity University Police Department. Obviously, we will make sure this is a safe and fun event, but there are some quick reminders and emergency numbers, and I mean emergencies. If you have any small issues, you can come to anyone in the team shirts, which is a blue-colored shirt. And I really want to please give your undivided attention to Officer Brown.
I'm with the Trinity University Police Department. We're here to try to make y'all stay as safe as possible. We'll be in the building around the clock, so if y'all need anything from any of us, just give us a holler, and we'll help y'all out as much. There's a lot of volunteers that can help y'all also. So we should be on top of everything, so if y'all need anything, definitely let us know, okay? There's a few things that we kind of go over a little bit. There's a phone number to our police department, 999-7070. If y'all need any assistance and y'all can't get us, in the area where y'all are, you can always call us at the PD and we'll send somebody for sure to take care of your deal. Just remember, you can't leave the building unless you have a member with you. Don't be floating around at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We don't want that. We're going to take care of y'all so y'all can have fun here. No alcohol, smoking, vaping. Y'all know all about that. I don't think any of we've had y'all for the last few years, and y'all have been very good group of kids, and we really appreciate it. And just kind of keep up the good work, guys. You got to wear your shoes at all the time when you walk around. Don't be running around there and stuff like that. Put my hand in there. Y'all can't order Pizza Hut pizza in and then have them delivered at 2 o'clock in the morning. There's plenty of food around. They have snacks. I believe midnight they're going to have snacks for all y'all, so y'all be well fed the entire time y'all are here. Work together. It's a big team group, so just kind of work with your partner, and if everybody else needs some help them out too. It's one big group, one big happy family, hopefully, okay? So we can get everything done. And guys, watch yourself. Just be a gentleman. Leave the women alone. You don't know all that, right? We're not too clear on that. And just basically have fun and just enjoy yourself. And like I said, if y'all need anything from anybody else, let us know, and we'll be around, and all the volunteers can help y'all out too. Y'all have any questions about anything that the police department can help y'all, and you'll stay here? Okay, guys.
Now that we got all the safety stuff out of the way, let's get into a little more detail about what we're going to be doing for the next 24 hours. So, as you guys know, we are a 24-hour hackathon for incoming 9th graders all the way through exiting 12th graders. We have people who come out here, our mentors and volunteers, with gray t-shirts. If you're there, wave right now in the audience. Some of them are still back there, but we're appreciative for all you guys who give your time teaching classes and helping students create projects. Also, another thing, you're allowed to work by yourself or up to a team of 4, and we recognize the work you put into a team. Team building and working in groups will be there for the rest of your life, and so when you're competing for a prize, we want you to know that every member of your team will get that prize, not just you have to figure out who gets to take it home. So make sure you, everyone puts in the equal amount of work and have a great time and meet new people. Also, you cannot work on your project before the process begins. And we say this because we don't want you to be discouraged if you don't have a completed website or app, because that's the process of computer science. It's a trial and error situation. So everyone signed up and said that they will present no matter what it is. And honestly, not all the completed prizes have won by the judges. So showing the effort that you took if you're a first-time coder, that does a lot, and it shows a lot that you gained a lot from this experience. Please don't steal another team's source code. Again, the decision of the judges is final. And organizers, us in these team shirts, can disqualify participants at any time, and that only goes back to the safety rules. And also, please comply with all instructions as you sign in the waiver. And if you have questions about just the general hackathon, check out sohacks5.devpost.com. I'm going to be saying this link a lot because it's very helpful. So let's get into our workshops. So workshops were assigned to you in a white sheet attached to your name badge. Based on your computer science experience you indicated when you registered, you were assigned to be on the beginner, advanced beginner, as we like to say, or the intermediate advanced track. They're running from 4 p.m. to 11, and all you have to do is sign up at the link. A couple of changes we just want to notify you about. If you are on the advanced or intermediate track, make sure that your URL ends with KEE, so 2 E's, and hopefully we solve those problems. Not everyone had that issue, but it's all good. Also, we really encourage you to come to these classes, not just because people are teaching them, but because they range all over the spectrum and people are dedicating their time. So what we're doing is if you go to class and you stay the whole time, teachers are going to be giving out raffle tickets. Now these raffle tickets aren't just for a little sticker. No, these raffle tickets can win you at closing ceremonies, if you're present, a new computer, a new set of speakers, or a brand new $500 3D printer. So we're serious about this. We want you to take action, but not just be like, oh, this is school. This is a fun, collaborative environment. And also, one other note is if you're on the intermediate or advanced track, and you already registered for the AR/VR workshop by USAA, there's going to be a time change to 4 p.m. So please make note of that. If you signed up for a class at 4 p.m. as well, just choose the preference, whichever one you'd rather go to, and that's completely fine. And please make note that it's going to be in room 437. So if you registered for the USA class. Also, if you have any questions, again, please let us know. If you think that you indicated what's not the level assigned to you, you can reach out to Jason Salazar. So Jason, if you stand up right now, this is your main point of contact for any issues with signing up. Let's give a big round of applause, actually. Every SoHacks community is involved in this. And one other small little change is for the beginner track, if you signed up for website development, the room has been moved to 102. So if you forget the 102 and you go to the old room, there's a sign sending you back to 102, and it will be completely fine. But other than that, we really want you to sign up for workshops. Even to stress it more, all those beginners out there who raised their hand at the beginning of the event, we really need you to come to these workshops, because not only will you learn something new, but you'll get to connect with professionals who can provide you new opportunities, new resources to continue your educational experience outside of our event. And I've attended classes my first year as a volunteer/participant, and they really are remarkable. It is not your typical computer science pre-AP thing. It's a lot more fun. So if you have an obligation, or if maybe you have to leave early, or you have a friend who missed them, there are resources you can reach out to. And at the end of the PowerPoint, I will give you a link to this, so if you miss anything, no worries. So now to the fun part, obviously the awards. So there's only 23 opportunities to win at SoHacks, starting with the best software hack, to hardware hack, to Android, to iOS, as I mentioned, beginner, intermediate, advanced, etc. So for the top 3, obviously there'll be a first, second, and third place. And when you present, it's a science fair symposium style, so you're not just in a room with your judges intimidating. It's just collaborative, and you get the opportunity to be passionate about what you created. The only thing that you have to indicate when you submit to SoHacks5.devpost.com is if you're entering in an API award. So these are given out by our sponsors, and our sponsors will be looking to see who created the best, whatever they're asking. So CodeUp looks for a web hack. That's just a general website. Digital Defense is looking for a software hack. UT Health is looking for the best image-to-text software, and there's more details linked here. Also, Aaron in the audience, if you want to stand up, he has more details representing UT Health here today. So if you want to go into that, they're giving out $50 per student for Amazon. And again, if you want to know, like, okay, what do I win? Like, which should I target for? If you go to SoHacks5.devpost.com, you can see all the prizes we'll be giving out. One other thing is, please make sure you submit by noon tomorrow to devpost.com, as that's how we generate a schedule for you guys to present. If you don't submit to DevPost, there's a little bit of an issue, and usually it doesn't happen, so just be prepared, create an account tonight, and just start working on it as you're creating your project. One other thing, so if you're thinking like, okay, I'm a beginner, I'm going to go for the best beginner hack, or maybe you're like, I love pictures. There's opportunities for you to win. This goes into our raffle. So if you haven't found our Snapchat filter, we're celebrating 5 years. Please make sure to tweet your pictures at SoHacks. We're having a coding trivia in the middle of the night. So that's just going to be all over, like, random questions dealing with computer science. So I hope you can join us there. And whoever took pictures in the photo booth, if you take like a picture of the little printout and tweet at SoHacks, there'll be awards for that as well. So as I mentioned, presentations. Highly recommend everyone get your phone out and take a picture of this. The presentation will be available at the end, but as I'm talking, just take a picture would be great, thank you. So everyone must create an account, because we want to show, if you said you're leading a team, we want to see those team members and see where they go to school and what grades you guys are. And only one person per team needs to create a submission. All you have to do is fill out what inspired you, why you're doing this, what type of code you used, and general information. And again, as I mentioned, create an account and submit, like creating drafts, and then when it comes time to submission, you won't be in a rush and there'll be no stress, so it'll be good. We're going to give a couple more moments because I see some phones out. And also at the end, everyone take a picture of the last slide, because you can access all of this after the event. you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last year you had a Discord server. Is that happening again?
That's going to be coming up in like 3 slides. Okay, so I'm glad you asked. See, there's someone you can reach out to. It's for the SoHacks Pro Mentor right there. So, the next thing we're going to talk about is the presentation schedule. So, as you guys know, you have to present something, and it will happen after 12 p.m. Presentations will feed you all, clean up, as we always do. And then from 1:30 to 3:30, you got about 3 to 5 minutes to sell your pitch and give it your all about what you did and what you learned from the classes you took. Even if you're showing something that you created from a class, that's awesome because it showed that you took initiative and you put yourself out there to try something new. The final ceremony will begin at 4 p.m. Your parents are welcome to join us, as well as the presentations as they're open to the public. And everyone must be picked up by 4:45 p.m. So please text your rides, or if you drove here, please be picked up by 4:45 p.m. Even if you're not from here, it's okay. San Antonio's beautiful. Go look at the Riverwalk, but please go somewhere else by 4:45 p.m. Thank you. Another fun part, you know this event's free. We have food constantly throughout the event. So make sure that you get alerts that we'll talk about later, so you can know dinner from 6 to 7, midnight snack at obviously midnight, breakfast at 9 a.m., and lunch. If you have allergies and you didn't talk to Metropolitan Methodist Emergency Centers, go check in with them, or if you have medication, because then you'll make sure that you get those allergy meals. Also, if you haven't received your electronic tickets, please reach out to Donovan. So every meal will have electronic food tickets to make sure that everyone gets fed. And I know some of you from last year are like, oh, we didn't get enough food. There's always extras, and we'll let you know when that happens. But I want to recognize again some of these SoHacks team members. Donovan, if you need food tickets. Joseph and Alexis, if you have allergies or any food questions. So if y'all could stand up, and let's give a round of applause to these folks as well, because they helped out so much. Like I said, they help out so much that Donovan's running and doing stuff right now, but you see his pictures. So I'm going to try to wrap this up as quick as we can. So extra activities. If you're sitting in the audience and it's first time to hackathon, or you're looking for a new team member to join your pair of 2, or if you're a team of 1, go to the team building workshop. We're so excited to have Venture Lab be a part of us at 3 p.m., which we're going to wrap up as quick as we can, in room 205. We also have yoga by Yoga Day US. You may laugh, but it was actually the highlight of the event last year. We all need breaks, and it's a lot of fun. So meet us in the CSI atrium. Also, the coding trivia. And if you're looking to get some sleep, we have a boys' sleeping room and a girls' sleeping room in room 448 and 437. Please go with the gender that you feel best identifies with you. And then, so Wi-Fi. We're really excited that for Wi-Fi that it's very simple this year. All you have to do, again, this is all available at the end, you just say Trinity University Guest, which is abbreviated TU. You say, I don't have an account, and this is all on your personal device. I don't have an account. You type in your email, you say you agree, and then you hit the button sign on. So you don't even have to type anything back on. You're on the Wi-Fi, so you're good to go. For the next slide, I would love all you guys to get your phones out and text 81010 at SoHacks5. So we're going to be doing a Remind 101 like we do every year, so you can be notified about when meals are served, special guests, raffle prizes. We're raffling probably about at least 100 prizes tonight, ranging all over the spectrum that we're collecting, because again, it's year 5, and we're super excited. So you don't want to miss out on that. It's just SoHacks5, 81010. Pretty sure some of y'all have the number because it's used commonly in high school. And again, you can get it at the end of the PowerPoint. Now, reaching out to you. Yes, the person mentioned Discord. So Discord is a very awesome service that we're excited to work with our mentors on site. So our mentors are people with computer science experience and can help you when you have a question. So if you create an account and you go into the help channel that identifies with what your problem is, a mentor can reach out to you, maybe help you virtually, or if they're on site, they'll come out and you guys can meet up in the cube or something like that. But it's really helpful to use. Please be appropriate online, and as well, we'll have SoHacks team members helping out if you run into errors. The 2 people in charge for Discord is Stephen and Elizabeth if you are a mentor or volunteer and have any questions. So if y'all could stand up or wait from the side wings, give a huge round of applause to these 2 team members as well. So you guys definitely should follow us on social media because we're going to raffle out to if you follow us on all 3 of them, and we'll choose someone who did. So at SoHacks for Twitter and Instagram, and then at Schools Out Hackathon for Facebook. And I know maybe some of y'all don't use Facebook, that's okay too. But if you're not on social media, maybe just get on it for this event. It's going to be an awesome experience you don't want to miss. Some of our sponsors are even reaching out to students and giving out raffles as well. And as I mentioned, the Remind 101 at SoHacks5 to 8/10/10. And lastly, Christian, our awesome graphic designer and troubleshooter for the event. If you can stand up, want to recognize you, so yeah. Also, we have an amazing team this year from all over San Antonio, high school students and college students. And again, thank you so much to all our mentors and volunteers who gave their countless hours to help you guys build your first products or help you take the next level in your computer science education. And I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to over 28 sponsors who helped pay for this so you can have free food, free t-shirts, free tech, and an awesome experience. So can we give a round of applause to all those sponsors out there? And so lastly, as we tell you every year, we want you to keep calm and hack on, and this is where you should definitely take a photo to access the open ceremonies, open sesh CSH 5. So if you had any questions about this, or you need to make sure you get your meal tickets, recommend doing that after this. Donovan will be at the desk for food. And a notification, we serve lunch in the cube. All food is down the hallway by check-in for the rest of the event. And you guys now, all the students who are urging to go to their little cubicles, you're welcome to spread out through the building, and people have been watching your stuff. So a huge shout out also to Metropolitan Methodist Emergency Center and all those volunteers who are helping out again. So thank you guys so much. We're now going to exit. I'm going to have Elizabeth and as well as Christian lead out. So if you can let them head out real quickly, we're going to guide back to the building. And I highly encourage you to go catch in room 205 for the team building workshop. But please let these 2 go first so we can head back to CSI. Thank you.
Where are you going, Donkey? Donkey, where are you going?
We don't follow you.
Oh, Donkey.
Is Clara Rodriguez and Cindy Love in the building? If you are, please come to the podium. Thank you.
Right, me and Noah to share.
Apparently the dude in 50 pounds, that took like an hour to explain.
Bro, I bet you could. next fall. Ooh.
I love how you respect the government and you sound like you're ahead of your time. He's a researcher.
All mapped out there. No one was we haven't, it's not about this per se. What we're trying to do with the museum is basically capture all the internal stories from the different areas. So those great stories invite us to great stories. It's going to be a process.